Hello, today I am going to be showing you the California State Board haircut for the cosmetology practical exam. So you will have just finished the thermal, and the proctor is going to review what you're going to be evaluated on, which is going to be the hair cutting supplies are labeled in English, implements and supplies are visibly clean, subsections hair for hair cutting, demonstrates safe use of razor, demonstrates safe use of shears, cuts entire nape line to a uniform length, cuts sides in uniform in lengths, blends haircut, removes hair from work area, maintains drape throughout section, items to be disinfected, soil, linens, and trash are disposed of in a correct manner throughout the section. So they're gonna give you 30 minutes. You're gonna have a 2-minute time to clean up from the last procedure and set up for this one. So they're gonna tell you have 2 minutes. We're gonna be cleaning up our thermal hair cutting supplies, and we already have our hair cutting supplies out from the first setup, but we'll place them where we want them. And they're gonna say you have 2 minutes for the cleanup, you may begin. So I'm going to take my combs and brushes and clips and put these in my items to be disinfected. There's no trash. If there was anything that was paper or plastics, I would be throwing it out, but there's not. So now I'm just going to move over my items for my haircut, my implements, which are just the shears, the razor, the combs, and a couple clips. So I'm gonna take everything off of the clean towel, and that way whenever I have a comb with hair in it, etc., I'm gonna put it on the clean towel, and then the towel can hold all the hair, so you can just wrap it up when we're done and there's not hair all over the station. So there are 2 clips in her hair. I'm gonna take these out and use them for the haircut. Since it's the same mannequin, it's considered to be the same client, so it's okay to use these. If it was a different mannequin, it would be a different client and you would have to get new ones. Okay, so now I'm set up, I'm good to go. So I'm gonna sanitize my hands and wrists, always wrists too, and I'm gonna step back to indicate that I have finished. So the proctor will wait for the 2 minutes to go by, and then they're gonna tell everybody what you're evaluated on for the haircut, and they're gonna tell you that you have 30 minutes, and they're gonna say you may begin. So we'll begin. Okay, so we're gonna comb the hair out from the thermal. And we'll spray the hair. You don't want to soak it, you just want to spray it a little. It's easier to cut wet hair, and especially at the bottom where you are using your razor, you definitely need it to be wet. So when I set my water bottle down, I'm going to always make sure that the water label is facing forward, so facing me. It's important that you always keep it that way. And now I'm going to grab this comb and I'm going to section it into 4 sections. So one thing before I section it is I'm going to do a scalp analysis. So I'm just checking the scalp in 3 spots just to make sure there's no abrasions. Remember, State Board wants you to treat this mannequin like it's a real person. Okay, so now straight down the middle for 1 section. And I'm just gonna bring that part behind the ears. And I'll section that. I'm not gonna really spend a lot of time putting it into a little bun because it just needs to look like it's controlled, and that looks like it's controlled. And then I'm gonna bring down the same behind the ears, put this in another section. And now with the back, I'll spray it a little bit more. And I'm just gonna drop the bottom about an inch of hair. And you can make this into 2 sections or 1. And to save time, I'm gonna just make this 1 section. Okay, so now I'm gonna begin with the razor. You have to take at least 1 inch of hair off. So if you wanna take more, that's fine. Make sure that you open this properly. Pinky goes here, thumb goes there, other fingers go there. And we're gonna do an inch off the bottom or more. You always want to palm your shears or your razor, whatever you're using, okay? And never cut past your second knuckle. So now you have your first guide, and that was just straight across. I close my razor, set it down. I'm putting it now on the towel because it's dirty. Same with my comb. And I'll grab another inch down. You're gonna use the razor in the nape area only. Once you get to the occipital bone, you'll stop and you'll switch to the shears. So I'm gonna get this hair wet too. Label facing forward. Now I'll carefully open my razor. And comb the hair down while you're palming your razor. I'm gonna find my guideline underneath. I'm holding this at a 0-degree elevation. And just cutting it straight across. I'm taking probably about 1.5 inches off. And the first section that you did is your guideline for this now. I'm just gonna close it, set that down. I'll grab my rat tail comb, and now I'm at the occipital after this section, so I made a nice straight line. I'll clip this hair up, get this hair wet again, label facing forward, open my razor, palming it, and I'll go ahead and cut again, holding it straight down at a 0-degree elevation. I'm palming it every time, and I'm not going past my second knuckle every time. Whether it's the razors or the shears, you have to follow those rules. Set it down, and now you want to check to make sure it's even on both sides, because this will be your guide. And State Board does actually check to make sure that your haircut is even, and it is. It goes to the same length on both sides. So now I'm going to continue on with, I'm just going to do the back first, and then I'll go to the side. So I'm going to bring down another inch. Now I'm done with the razor, so I can either put it in the items to be disinfected or leave it up here. I'm just gonna leave it up here just in case. You never know, you might need it again. I don't think you will, but you might see something that you missed when you're cross-checking your haircut at the end, and you might want it. So now we're gonna be starting with our layers. So we're gonna have our shear and our comb, and I always just like to start in the middle. So So you'll be palming your shears. I want to show you how to palm your shears. Okay, so this is how you palm your shears. So you'll be cutting like this and cutting, and when you want to palm them, you just take your thumb out and palm them. So I've seen some people palm their shears like this. That's wrong. I've also seen some people palm their shears like this, and that's also wrong, because now you're putting other people's safety in jeopardy, and this way you're putting your own safety in jeopardy. So the right way to do it is just take your thumb out and it's in your palm now. And you never want to cut past your second knuckle. So you can go to here, but you can't go to here or even here. You can cut, and then stop. Okay, so now we're gonna be starting our layers. We're gonna be pulling this out to a 90 degree. I'm gonna find the hair that I first cut with my first guideline at the bottom. So you can see that shorter hair. This is your guideline. One thing I wanna caution you guys from is don't pull the hair from the bottom and use that as your guideline, because all that's gonna do is cut a hole into your haircut, and you're not gonna have a nice even bottom. So I always say drop your guide. So drop a good amount out. You don't need to cut that hair. You'll see that I still have a guide right here from where I cut before. So find my guide and I'm gonna cut up. Not off, I'm not gonna cut my guide off, but from the guide, I'll cut up. I'm palming my shears. So now I have guides coming from two different areas. I'm gonna have guides coming from the middle, vertically, that I just cut, and the razor horizontally that I cut earlier. So I could bring a little bit over from both, but make sure to drop your guide. Drop the bottom guide. Don't take it all up. Okay, so I could see the hair that I had cut before, and I could see the guide at the bottom. So I have guides coming from two sides. Cut, and you can see I'm holding it at a nice 90 degree, and we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna be bringing it a little bit from the side that I just cut and a little bit from the bottom. Okay. Now I'll do another inch. Now you're doing a 90, so your angle is gonna cut. Gonna change. When you're at the middle of the hair, it's like this. And then as the shape of the head changes, so is your 90 degree, okay? Like this, and then same on the sides. It's gonna go like that, so you'll see what I mean. Okay. Pulling my shears. So now I'm gonna find my guide from what I just cut underneath. You can see a lot of it here. I'll go up a little bit higher. Okay. So I don't want to go past my second knuckle, so there it is. Okay, see my guide there. Okay. Make sure you're cutting at least an inch. You can cut more than an inch, but make sure it's at least an inch. And then I'll drop the last part of the back down, and I'll definitely be angling it higher now. So I just moved my sleeve up. Now I need to sanitize my hands and wrists. Anytime you touch yourself or your clothes or anything, you have to sanitize your hands and wrists. Okay, so palming my shears. I'm gonna find, see now my angle is definitely going up. So here is my guide from before. I find the hardest thing is not cutting past the second knuckle, because most of us, especially after you've been doing hair for a while, like I have for 22 years, you want to cut past it. So I'm glad that just happened. I'm glad that I just cut my comb. I want to give you an example of what you would do, okay? So the first thing you would do is put down whatever you're working on, go get your comb. You don't even need to have a tissue. They used to tell you to, but now you don't. Put this in your items to be disinfected. Right away, before you get another one, you're gonna sanitize your hands and wrists, and then you're gonna go in your table setup. And I always tell my students, pack extras of everything: drapes, combs, tint brushes, towels, because then if you drop one, no big deal. So I got one out and it's already clean and sanitized. Now I'm just gonna pick up where I left off. So I had just finished the back. You wouldn't normally be turning your mannequin around. I'm only doing this for this video. At State Board, you're not allowed to do that. So now I just like to work one side at a time. So I'm gonna grab an inch, clip that back up. I feel like it saves time if you do it this way. Okay, so this was a razor in the front, or on the bottom, in the back. So we're gonna just get that razor and just do a little bit in the front. You're gonna find your guide from what you used in the back, and that'll be your guide in the front. Same thing at a 0-degree elevation. Okay, I'm gonna close it because I'm done until I get to the other side. And now 1 inch, I'm dropping that down, and we're gonna be now using the shears. When I'm wetting the hair, I'm making sure not to make the client's face all wet, because you're pretending it's a real client. And you wouldn't want to do that in a salon. Okay, so I'm gonna comb that hair down, and now I'm gonna bring it out to a 90-degree for the shears. So I'm gonna go from the back, bring a little bit of my guide with me, and I'm also dropping a lot of the guide because I don't want to cut that off and get a hole in the haircut. If I were to grab this, okay, if I were to grab all this hair and cut it, pull it out to a 90 and cut it off, guess what? When I drop this down, there's gonna be a big old chunk missing. So I'm gonna be dropping a good inch of it from what I cut before, and there's still enough in there from the guide behind it and a little bit from below to show me where to cut. So straight out to the sides, and there it is. You can see the guide here from below, and I don't know if you can see, but there's hair if I go like this from what I cut before. So those are my two guides, and I won't go past my second knuckle. Okay, palming the shears, I'll get the rest and do the same thing right here. So I'm dropping my guide down, straight out at a 90, And there it is. I'm going to keep doing that all the way up. Take an inch, clip that, pull it out to a 90. That didn't need much off. Okay, there it is. You can see my guide below. And now as the head starts to curve, so will my angle. Okay. And I'm just gonna do the rest. Calm it down. Okay. All right, that side is done. And now we'll do the other side. Just calm that down really nice. Okay, and we will go on the other side now. So I'm gonna bring my little towel with me and get about an inch. And this is gonna be the last part that we use the razor with. So I'm not gonna reach for my water bottle in front of the client, but I'm going to walk to the other side because you never reach in front of the client at state board. Okay, I'm gonna carefully open my razor, palm it. And I will be cutting an inch off of the bottom. And close it. And I will be bringing down another inch of hair. That I'm going to do the same as I did on the other side. I will be using the shears at a 90-degree angle and not cutting the bottom off. So dropping the bottom, drop that guide so you don't get a hole. I died. Drop that guide. So this is still gonna be a 90 with shears for the rest of the haircut. And just remember, palm your shears and razor and don't go past the second knuckle on the entire stapler procedure when you're cutting the hair. And cut at least 1 inch of hair off. And remember that you only have 30 minutes, so you can't take too much time. That's why when I clip the hair, I just kind of don't do anything fancy. You just don't have time for it. Okay, so you'll see the shape of the head is now starting to curve. So my angle, my 90, is going to be starting to be a little bit higher now as well. And I'm still looking for the guide below and the guide behind to know exactly where to cut the hair. They're going to be checking that it's uniform in length all over. They don't want to see one side being longer than the other. So you'll want to practice this a lot. There's a lot of stapboard points on this part of the test of the exam, and you want to be fast, and that comes from practice. But you don't want to be sloppy. So again, that comes from practice. And the last subsection. So now what I'm going to want to do is pull the middle up and make sure that the two sides are even. Pretty close, but I'll just go ahead and take off that little bit there. Okay, and then I'll pull the next one back. And that's pretty good. I can just maybe, I don't know, that's pretty good. So I'll take this down, and I don't want to put it in her eyes, but off to the side, just keep a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty even. So that gives you a good indication that the haircut's probably going to be even on both sides. When the middle, when you bring it up to the top and the two sides are pretty even, then it's a good sign that the rest of the haircut is probably pretty even too. So I'm going to first just physically look at the bottom, make sure that it's even on both sides. You can even pull it down if you want to. Just make sure it's even, and yeah, it is. Look at the back. Okay, it looks good. So now if you have time left over, you can start to cross-check the haircut. So the way you cross-check is, we did this almost all vertical, right? Vertical sections, working our way around, going up. So the way that you're gonna wanna cross-check is by doing it the opposite. So you're gonna be cross-checking it horizontally. You can bring the hair out and check that it looks even. Yep, that one's good. Bring some more down. If you don't have time to do this, it's okay. But if you have extra time, you look at the clock, you have extra 5 minutes, great. Okay, that looks good. I know the top is good, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. And yep, it's perfect. So I'm gonna go on to the next side. Cross check. Perfect. So you'll keep doing this throughout your whole haircut, but for the sake of time, I think you get the point of what I'm doing. Okay, so when you're done, you can part the hair back down the middle if you want to, make it look nice. And at some point, the proctor is going to come around and ask you if they can see one of your combs so that they can check your haircut. So the proctor will come around and say, can I have one of your combs? And you're gonna say, sure, and give them a comb. And this is where they're gonna be combing through, making sure, okay, everything's even, there's no holes, everything looks blended. And then they'll hand you back your comb and they'll say, you can sweep. So make sure that you don't, even if you finish a long time ago, make sure that you don't sweep the hair until the proctor tells you to sweep. The reason being is because they want to look at the ground and see what's there and make sure that you have cut at least an inch of hair off. So if you take away the hair, then you've taken away the evidence that you did cut an inch of hair off. So you wait until they tell you, and after they've checked your haircut, they're gonna tell you, okay, now you can sweep up. So now we're gonna go get the State Board's broom and dustpan, okay? And you're gonna sweep the hair up. You are not going to dump the hair from the dustpan into your personal trash bag. You're gonna use the State Board's trash can, and this is the only time in the entire exam that you're gonna do that. So you're gonna get the hair, and you're gonna walk the hair and the broom over to the State Board's trash can. This is too wide. If you were to dump this in your bag, it's probably gonna make a mess, and it's just the rule is that you just don't do that. So I'm gonna go take it over to the State Board's trash can, dump it. And you're gonna leave the broom and dustpan wherever you found it. Then you're gonna come back and you're gonna sanitize your hands and wrists and step back to indicated to indicate that you have finished the procedure of the haircut. Thank you.